Hi, welcome at BTF Online School. Today we're going to talk about fermentation, about preferments, and we're going to make two of the most well-known preferments. One's the Polish, which is a preferment from pressed yeast, and we're also going to make a Biga, which is also a pressed yeast ferment. But the difference is that one has more water and it's more liquid, which is the Polish, and the other one is more solid. In the fermentation, it's going to bring different characteristics to our dough. In the case of Polish, we're going to use it for doughs which need extensibility, which need that acid flavor. Let's start. I'm gonna tell you what ingredients you need. We've got yeast, water, milk, sugar, and flour. We're going to analyze the ingredients because normally the common Polish, you will find it with only water, but this small amount of milk is going to boost the lactic fermentation in our final recipe. We also have some sugar, which is going to work as a supplement, a feeding supplement for our yeast. Remember that all of the bacteria that are inside of the yeast are going to feed off the sugar. Remember, we also have another sugar, which is in the lactose. So all of these sugars are going to work as feeding for the bacteria and are going to boost the alcoholic, the acetic, and the lactic fermentation and acidity. We want to boost flavor, conservation, and extensibility of our final recipe, which could be, for example, a croissant. So let's start with the water, then the milk, and sugar. And using a whisk, we're going to dissolve all of the sugar crystals. Now we're going to add the yeast. And once again, keep mixing to melt everything together. The temperature of the water and the milk should be around 20 to 23 degrees. 20 to 23 degrees. And lastly, we're going to add the flour. And we're going to combine perfectly. And we've got our preferment, Polish preferment. It's very liquid. We can see its texture. And we're going to finish it with a spatula to clean the walls of the bowl. And in the camera you can see that it's very liquid. It is done. We're going to mark it with a pen because it has to double its size. And so this way we can check the growth of the ferment. When we're done, just cover it up with cling film, very tight, so we don't lose all of this fermentation. And we're going to store it in the fridge until it doubles its size. Alright, next thing, we're going to make the Biga. Historically, Biga is just a piece of bread in bakeries, which is kept for the following day's need. Italian people call it Biga, but we can also find it in France as pâte fermentée, which means fermented dough. Alright, since we don't have a bakery, we're going to make the Biga from scratch. Alright, just like we did before, we're gonna put the amount of water in the recipe in a bowl, milk to boost lactic fermentation, yogurt, which already has lactic preferment, sugar, which is going to work as feeding as food for our yeast bacteria, and using the whisk, we're going to dissolve all of the sugar crystals. Next thing, the yeast, and we're gonna put everything in the mixer. We're gonna put it in the kneader and start mixing. Alright, once it's completely kneaded, we're gonna take it out of the mixing bowl and feel the texture, it's perfect. And we're going to sprinkle some flour on the table, like this, and round it with your hands, just to reorganize the gluten inside of the dough. And just like we're doing now, then we're going to leave it to rest. Some flour in the bowl, then the dough, a bit of flour, and we're going to cover it up with cling film, like so, to protect it. Alright, and we're gonna put it in the fridge for 12 hours. The time it should take is around 12 to 24 hours. It depends on the temperature that we have in our fridge. One important thing is that we always need to check that our fermented dough has doubled or tripled its size. Doubled or even tripled. Once it's over that size, if you think that it's too acid, I would just recommend to start over. Alright, just like we did with the Polish, put it in the fridge, and after the time, we're going to use it. Alright, we are back with our preferments, the Polish and the Biga. After the resting time, which is between 12 to 24 hours, we must see that they have doubled the size. And remember, we marked it, so we can see that it has doubled. On the other side, we also have the Biga. It has a very strong and nice smell, great fermentation, great acidity. I'm gonna ask the cameraman to come here, and I'm gonna show you a close-up. Alright, we can appreciate the differences, and you can see the inside, the texture on the inside. It's so good. You can also smell it. Great scent. It's acid, acetic, and lactic fermentation. Alright, let's put it back in the bowl. And let's see the polish as well. Great smell as well. And just like that, we're gonna start preparing different recipes of doughs, which could be puff pastry like croissant or some brioche that we're going to use in this course. So see you in the next recipe.